Hello again everyone. Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of extra information related to the Primal Rush update, the newest Hypixel Skyblock update that is currently on the Alpha network. There's a lot to go over, so let's launch right into it. My name's Derailious, welcome back to Skyblock News, and let's begin. Generally, there's been a lot of confusion on how to actually summon the Primal Dragons and also get the loot from them, so I'm going to try to explain it right now. In order to actually summon the Primal Dragons, you need to get your hands on 8 Awakened Summoning Eyes. I said how to craft them in the previous video. They're 8 regular Summoning Eyes and 2 Null Ovoids, but once you get your hands on all 8 of the Awakened variants, you need to place them down. You can't actually combine them with regular Summoning Eyes in order to give yourself like a reduced chance for a reduced cost. If you place down the Awakened ones, the other ones won't work. Normal ones cannot be used in tandem with the Awakened ones. But once you place all 8 of them, whether it be in a group or solo, one of 3 things will happen. Either you get one singular wave of multiple dragons that spawn, which is pretty cool but is the worst overall option. The second option is that a dragon rush starts, in which multiple waves of multiple dragons will spawn. And the third option is that a primal set of dragons will spawn, usually 2 primal dragons. I'm also fairly certain that you can get a primal dragon as part of the dragon rush, and I don't really think you can get it as part of the singular wave, at least I haven't seen it from my experience. This basically means that you're looking for primal sets to spawn the most, with dragon rushes being the second best option. The sad part for you is, those 2 options are the rarer 2 by a long shot. I think from my testing it's been around like a 5 to 10% chance of a dragon rush, and a 3 to 5% chance of a set of primals. Although, recently I have noticed it a little bit more. Maybe they've been messing things around on alpha, like changing and tweaking values, but those are my thoughts on it right now, and my numbers at this moment. In terms of loot, regular dragons drop, well, normal loot. There's nothing really special about them. But the Primal Dragons do drop pretty interesting loot. In terms of regular stuff, you have the armor, which actually comes recommed if you drop it, which is really cool. Obviously, there's fragments, which you can use to make the regular Primal Armor. I think this is pretty neat. It doesn't actually come recommed if you craft it, which makes sense. It's just a benefit for dropping it, which I think is pretty cool. You also obviously get the upgrade to the Ender Dragon pet and also the sword. I think both of those things are pretty neat and also fairly rare, and you can also get Ender Dragon pets, which I think is really nice and is going to bump up the rates, at least for people who participate in Primal Dragons. Another thing I want to talk about, at least briefly, is the Primal Armor set. People are very much interested in this set, and also talking about how overpowered it is, despite the fact it hasn't come out yet. I am in that camp, by the way. I do think it's a little overpowered at the moment, and by a little I mean a lot. There are some issues with the set currently, especially in the fact that it overpowers Infernal Kudra gear at 80%. That is completely ridiculous in my mind, especially since it goes up to 100 and then 120%. It should not be overpowering Infernal Kudra that low, although I have heard from multiple admins, notably Dio, that they are looking at nerfing the set before it releases, so if you are interested in this saga, please know they are going to nerf it. It's not going to release in this state. In my opinion, what they should do to it is at the very least nerf its defense and health by a little bit, turn it into more of a glass cannon type set. I think they should leave the magic find alone, maybe lower it a little bit, but they shouldn't completely remove it because I do think it's something that makes the primal set very unique. On top of that, I feel like it pairs pretty well with some of the other sets and things currently in the game, so I would like to see it remain as a powerful option, although compared to Kudra Infernal gear, that's a little bit of a stretch in my opinion. When it comes to things like Necron though, I've heard people say, oh, it shouldn't be stronger than Necron in dungeons. I'm a little more iffy on that. It's going to be at least a billion coin set when it releases. People don't understand how expensive it's going to be to do Primal Dragons on a frequent basis, and that price is going to add up very quickly. So keep that in mind when you're making your discussions about Necron gear and also the Primal set. My opinion, Primal set probably should be even a little bit better in dungeons because of its rarity and because of its difficulty to acquire. And let's be honest, it's not like Necron is the most difficult set in the world to get your hands on. Most people who have actually done any amount of dungeons do have their hands on it, and if you don't, you need to do more F7. Next up, we're in the garden for a pretty interesting reason. There's a new item here called the Portable Washer. You can consume this item to dunk yourself in a bucket of water that smells of sunshine and rainbows. Doing this will rid your garden of all active sprayinator effects. cost 20,000 coins, pretty neat. It's not really the biggest deal in the world, but I do think it's interesting enough to mention here, and also it's part of the fact that they didn't actually mention this in their forum post talking about the update, so who knows if when this update comes out, we get some more interesting things as well. Overall, I very much am a fan of this kind of update. It's something I've been looking for in Skyblock for a while now, something to get me more invested in the game. In terms of the Primal Armor set, there are going to be changes to it, so if you're worried about it being too overpowered on release, keep those fears and keep them at bay at least until they actually release the update, and I think things will work out just fine. In terms of balance, I think the actual update is very interesting. I would love to see some changes to the end island itself though. Personally, I think it should be made a little bit larger, at least in terms of the Zealot Bruiser hideout. There should be more areas to farm those guys because there's going to be a lot of people going for Summoning Eyes. Overall though, my name's Derailious, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future fellas, because I will see you then.